not all the press, certain bits of the press, as being some sort of witch that has got into Buckingham Palace.
Who's called her a witch?
I said...
Hey guys, and welcome back to Little Black Book. You already know what time it is. We're dealing with the Meghan and Harry debacle. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for the notification of the uploads, baby. And for those of you who are mineral gang, listen, make sure you get your merchandise down below, baby. Listen, you ain't got the minerals, baby. Reload it. Alright, cool. So we're talking to you guys about the Harry and Meghan debacle and just dealing with the situations that are going on. So yeah, we previously dealt with institutional racism and stuff like that and dealt with all that kind of stuff here. We're going to still deal with racism as well. We're going to deal with it on a level where we're talking about the Meghan Markle and the Piers Morgan situation. So for those of you who haven't really followed, Piers Morgan was, quote unquote, as he said, good friends with Meghan Markle previously. And didn't also as well invite him to a wedding, okay? The wedding between her and Harry. Now, he feels pressed about this. I want you to understand something. This is scary. I want you to deep something. This is scary from a sexist point of view. I believe Piers Morgan holds some sexist mindsets, and I believe he holds also a racist mindset also as well. And we'll come on to the reasons why I say that. But like I said, I'm not gonna prove. I don't have to prove that he's a racist. He's got to prove to me that he's not a racist. Because I'm tired of people telling me to prove that to prove racism. How about you prove to me that you're not a racist? You're telling me you're not. Prove that you're not. You get me? Anyway, let's come to what we're talking about. So, the reason why I say Piers Morgan is very, very scary, especially for women. In the dynamics of when I approach you, I feel like he's put it as we were friends, but this is not a friend situation. A friend doesn't behave like this.
But I get it. Very intelligent, I thought very smart, very charming, very warm, very direct with eye contact. She was a really nice person. And she seemed to me to have a sense about her of being concerned about issues, concerned about the planet, the environment, women's rights. She's got that campaigning streak too. But I really liked her. You know, I mean, I'm just sad I lost her as a friend. It's like Harry. You could have thought of me here, buddy.
You're quite bitter about this.
Well, I'm not bitter, just sad.
Yes.
You know, mainly because I don't get the Suits episodes, and that really kills me. But also, I just thought we were friends, Meghan. What happened? But I get it, because Harry, the moment it became serious, there's no way Harry wants Meghan Markle anywhere near media people. Just period. But I get it, because Harry, the moment it became serious, there's no way Harry wants Meghan Markle anywhere near media people. Just period. Doesn't mean I haven't ruled out that I might get an invite to the wedding.
So you haven't yet?
No, but I just think Meghan will be sitting there thinking, you know what, I owe that guy one. I really owe that guy.
What does she owe you?
She owes me an invitation to the wedding to make up for cutting me dead.
The pints, we got on brilliantly. And then I put her in a cab, and it turned out to be a cab that took her to a party where she met Prince Harry.
What has Meghan Markle done that is so heinous, apart from not having a drink with you? Listen, I get rejection is hard.
Oh, I know.
And I know that's hard. I know that's hard for you.
The only reason I retell that story regularly is full transparency. I knew her, right? And we did meet. And I believe when people show you who they are, believe them.
You get what I'm saying? If you felt like someone did you dirty, and you thought that, and they were truly your friend, you don't use the power that you have. Listen to me. You don't use the power that you have. Remember, he's not only have the power, he's also in a position. Yeah, this is an abuse of the power and position that Piers Morgan has.
Meghan Markle, like $1 million. But they didn't know who she was, but they thought she's something special. Yeah. We had 2 hours in the pub. She had a couple of dirty martinis, had a couple of pints. We got on brilliantly. And then I put her in a cab, and it turned out to be a cab that took her to a party where she met Prince Harry. And then the next night, they had a solo dinner together, and that was the last I ever heard from Meghan Markle. And I have never heard from her again.
So what happened?
She ghosted me, Ryan. This is why it hurts. No, I really liked her. I just think she's a slight social climber, I'm afraid.
You're saying Meghan Markle was a friend. Yet you've written so many articles since the wedding that have gone against this woman.
Did tell me the story. He told me exactly as he said there, that they were friends. Piers owns a very, very well-known pub in London, and a lot of people in the industry go into his pub and hang and whatever, and she used to go there regularly, and they were pals, and they, you know, text back and forth, and he told me this story. And the only thing I must say about Piers is, everybody knows he is a friend.
And I know Serena well too. And she said, would you like to meet up for a drink? I said, come to my local pub, you know, I'm an Irishman, come to my pub. So she came to my local pub in Kensington, ironically about half a mile from Kensington Palace, where she now lives. Nobody knew who she was, but she walked in. I remember the locals, right, all these old guys like this, drinking their pints, and in walks Meghan Markle like $1 million. But they didn't know who she was, but they thought she's something special. We had 2 hours in the pub. We had 2 hours in the pub. We had 2 hours in the pub.
We'd go into his pub and hang and whatever, and she used to go there regularly, and they were...
She had a couple of dirty martinis, had a couple of pints, we got on brilliantly. And then I put her in a cab, and it turned out to be a cab that took her to a party where she met Prince Harry.
Lights on the prince of this country who's in line to the throne, and expect to have a normal private life afterwards. It's part of the deal. For living in palaces at our expense, you get to be in the papers, good, bad and ugly.
Whew. Oh, Piers, I wouldn't talk to you either. Yes.
Articles insulting, I won't say even insulting, but articles that basically shine a negative light on Meghan Markle consistently. It's been a harassment and a harangue from this gentleman that he calls himself Piers Morgan, right? Now listen, I don't often get onto Piers Morgan. I don't like all his views, but when it comes to racism, I'm on his neck because I am sick and tired of the fact that when he speaks to people, he behaves as like a petulant child and behaves like somebody who has no debate or discussion skills. When you're talking, let me speak. And when I finish, you talk.
Hang on, let me finish. Let me finish.
Why do you mention my skin colour?
I'm getting to the point. I'm getting to the point.
When you're talking, I'm going to let you finish and I'm going to hit you up. But what he does is that when people are trying to get their point across, he does something that bullies do. When they're trying to, and I call them, when people are emotionally manipulative and when they are people who tend to try and build narratives and try to railroad you from actually being able to get your point across. Many men who are manipulators, and you can call it almost narcissists as well, do this. When you're talking and making your point, they will railroad your point. So you're making it and then they'll jump in as you're making your point, cutting you off, talking over you, making noise, and what happens is you're unable to function and you're unable to get your point across, and therefore you lose your point where you were, and then they interject. Yeah? And when they do that, what happens is you look like now you don't know what you're going to say, and you don't know what you're going to say because you've been railroaded. Do you see the point? And so when I see that from him, and I see him do it a lot to the females as well. He tried to do it, I think it was Michael Blackwood was on the show. I don't know if that's the same one. It might have been. And he couldn't do that to Michael Blackwood because Michael was not having it. Like, and that's why I said that when certain people, and when the women come onto the panel, I see that he tries to railroad them.
Associated with very racialised forms of crime. There have been discussions about her exotic DNA. Her newborn baby.
Is her DNA not exotic by royal standards? She was the first mixed-race person to ever enter the royal family.
This is the context.
Why is the word exotic? Why do you take exception to the word exotic?
Because it others her and associates her with a history.
She's an African-American joining a white royal family.
As other and
the word exotic is not derogatory.
Well, listen, I'm a woman.
You can't just say these things are racist when they're not.
I'm telling you.
Right? Not only that, it wasn't even to do the racism situation. There was a situation where he had been called sexist by even the public when he was dealing with one of the young ladies, whatever. She was wearing some like red bottoms or whatever, a little bit tight or whatever, and he commented about it, whatever, and just behaving in a sexual, almost like in a sexual manner, where it's just going too far, Piers. Right? These are the kind of things we're talking about. It's an obnoxiety that GMTV and ITV continue to allow because it brings in views. But then you also get tied in ITV and GMT as racial, as almost becoming part of his opinion. That sexual behaviour, that comment that you're making, which is going over the boundary, that is sexist and chauvinistic and pigist. I don't even pig is the word, but behaving like a pig, basically. That you're tying yourself in with that when you do not denounce him for doing so. Here's my thing. when it comes to sexist and it comes to racism with Piers Morgan, whenever I see, and do you know what, I feel sorry, but at the same time I'm like, listen, Susanna's on the show and she sometimes tries to stop him from doing it, but she doesn't fully stop him, right? Because she needs help. Yeah, but I've seen it on several occasions where Susanna tries to cut him off and tell him something, and he ignores it.
Significant thing. But every mother I've talked to said the same thing.
No,
every mother, black, white,
Piers,
gender
Piers,
fluid,
hello.
any mother you like,
Piers, hello.
said
I'm a
the same
mother.
thing.
I'm a mother.
Well, you don't see anything wrong with
I do
her.
not agree
Is there anything wrong with her?
with
Here's
your
my point.
characterisation
Here's my
of
point.
the way that
Aisha,
you
what
you
Twitter...
You may self-identify.
I'll give you a point example. There's an example where the young lady was talking about racism in UK and talking about the Meghan and Markle situation, and she tried to explain about it, and he mentioned about the example about the baby bump situation, right? And he said, I spoke to mothers before, and the mothers all said that Meghan Markle was weird for holding the baby that way. And Susanna said, hold on a minute, I'm a mother, and I don't think that's weird. As she was talking and saying that, he ignored her. Why did he ignore her? Because he can. And you give him, and anybody who was in that audience or in that thing who doesn't say anything to him enables him. You become an enabler. That's why we can't enable people to do certain things. By being silent, you become also part of the problem. Isn't that why the society suffers? We become silent and people suffer. Same with Piers Morgan. Back onto the Harry and Meghan situation. So Piers Morgan was rejected. As you want to call it, as such. And men do this oftentimes when, let's say for instance, I approach a girl on the street, right? And I was like, you always say, Ma, you good, yeah? You're looking good, you know. Let me get your number. Girl goes, no, I'm sorry, I'm not interested. Oh, you're clapped anyway, you're butters anyway. Now, okay, that was on the street, right? I don't have the power and authority, yeah, to now write stories about the person. So therefore, my clapped and thingy, whatever, stays just with that individual. Now, that person could be hurt by what I've said. Don't get twisted. But it stays between us two now. Piers Morgan has authority and power, meaning the position and power to now write stories about how he got rejected, but then displace it into another story by saying, I think Meghan Markle was actually this and that, when really that's not the reason why he's writing those stories. The reason why you're writing those stories is because you feel hurt.
She ghosted me, Ryan. Meghan Markle ghosted me.
Did she? Do you think she just went, gone?
I'm afraid, look, I really liked it. This is why it hurts. No,
You see, if you give the normal man who's been rejected by a female the power and authority to say something about the girl that he got rejected by, there would be so many madness that would be going on. But that's what we've given Piers Morgan. So now, because he's been hurt by that, and he's been mentioned it several times, you know, he's been hurt by that, you're now writing stories that are, I wouldn't even say factually true. I'll say they are taunting. They are stories that are intentional to produce a certain emotion, elicit a certain emotion. They are target driven to target certain folk or people in the UK who would, again, drive this narrative against Meghan Markle. And it eventually then leads into colour. And I wouldn't say that potentially for 100% that Piers Morgan's comments have been because of race. I'll be honest with that. I don't think his particular vitriol towards Meghan has been about really colour. But what I would say is this: he also becomes an enabler because he decides to ignore, for instance, the Danny Baker tweet, right? Danny Baker tweet is pure racism. It's overt. It's not even subtle. It's all freaking vert. Meaning, it's at the forefront. When you post up a picture, and this is where Piers Morgan tried to explain it. This is when I know that you are an enabler of racism, and you potentially could be a racist too. Danny Baker posts up a picture, yeah? Bear in mind, he doesn't know what the race of Meghan is, and doesn't know the race of Harry apparently, and doesn't know the race of the child's gonna be, yeah? So he doesn't know the royals. So you don't know the royals, right? Alright, cool, Danny. Alright, Danny. So Danny Baker then posts a picture on Twitter, okay, of of a couple holding a monkey in hand. Yeah. Now, when he did that, he tried to say that Danny Baker said to him, "Oh no, I didn't even know the race of the couple. I didn't." You didn't know the race of the couple. You didn't know that Meghan Markle's got a splash of colour in her. You didn't know that. You didn't know that. You've always thought she was white. Yeah. You've always thought she was a white person. So that joke there never was about her being black. Yeah. Never thought about it, Danny. Oh, okay. So how did you know that how did you know that was Prince Harry, and how did you know that was the royal family? How did you know to tweet that about the royal family? And then Piers Morgan on live TV, GMTV, if you want to call it that, defends Danny Baker by saying he's not a racist, he didn't even know the colour of the da-da-da-da. You see, when you then decide to defend foolishness, you become foolish. The Bible talks about times it says that, you know what, don't even argue with a fool, because it makes you a fool. And guess what? That's what Piers Morgan is doing. Defending a fool, he looks like a fool. How are you defending something overtly racist?
You said all this in the New York Times. You say we're demonising a woman of colour. You're the one bringing race into this. I've seen no...
That's actually... Prince Harry made a statement about how racist British media has been.
They are driving a narrative that this is all driven by sexism and racism, which I think is completely grotesquely wrong.
So is Prince Harry someone who sees everything as racist?
I think he's being encouraged to, yes.
By
people like you.
And this is another racist
by people like you going to the New...
So is Prince Harry someone who sees everything as racist?
I think he's being encouraged to, yes.
By
people like you.
And this is another racist
people like you going to the New...
And when people like me said that was a racist joke, then people like you said that wasn't racist.
Danny Baker was a BBC broadcaster who said, and I have no reason to disbelieve him, he had no idea about the background to Meghan Markle.
That she had African heritage.
Danny Baker is not remotely racist, as anyone who knows him knows, right? Danny Baker was unceremoniously beaten up on Twitter. Within 7 minutes, he deleted it, so I'm terribly sorry. I had no idea.
Did you acknowledge that that was
Wait a minute. He then got fired and vilified. That's what happened to Danny Baker.
Why?
Right.
Why did he get fired? Why was there an issue with that?
He got fired because he put a chimpanzee baby out as a tweet without knowing, as he said, without knowing anything about Meghan Markle's background.
In the position.
And then saying he's not a racist. How do we know that? We've seen his tweet. So these are the kind of things we're facing with Piers Morgan. Right? That's why I said I don't think he's overtly a racist, but because he has defended about racism, even with the Liam Neeson situation, I recommend him for that, and I appreciate him for that, and the way that he broke that down. But unfortunately, ties with friends have blinded his eyes from the fact that there are overt racism, there are subtle racisms that are happening at the moment, and then he denies some of the factors of some of the, like for instance, BuzzFeed had done a thread which was done by someone else originally anyway. So BuzzFeed was just someone else who got it, but he then decides to discredit BuzzFeed just because of the fact that it's BuzzFeed. My friend, truth is truth, regardless of where it's coming from. Anyway, fast forward on to that, there was a situation where, he spoke with several people who have tried to explain racism, and he, time and time again, denies them of the fact that racism actually exists, and says consistently, prove this is racist. And I'll end it on this thing, because I'm going to do another video, we're going to talk about this, where I'll say, listen, then he should prove he's not a racist. Because there are so many stories that he's posted up of Meghan Markle, it looks like you hunting this girl. It looks like you hunting this girl. So he should prove that he's not a racist. I just want to also say this as well. His reason why he doesn't like Meghan Markle is slightly suspect. He talks about the fact that, she did to her, the family what they did to her, basically. And she's doing it now to royal family, where she distanced herself from parts of the family. And I was like, okay, so she distanced herself from part of the family for what reason though? Again, I'll say it again, Piers doesn't know the reason why she distanced herself from the family. He does not know why she distanced herself from the dad. If you don't know that, you can't come out and say that she did the exact same thing she did there to me. What is the reason why she ghosted you? We have to ask that question. Why did she ghost you? Piers, why did she ghost you? What were you doing that she felt she couldn't invite you to the wedding? Because you were doing something. You see, if you're pointing a finger, they say there are 3 fingers coming back at you. What did you do? What did you do, Piers, to get yourself in a situation? So guys, we're going to go on to another video. We'll do another video. We're going to actually break down one of the interviews that he did and just kind of break down what was said in between that and just let you guys see for yourself and we'll go from there. Appreciate you guys. Stay locked, stay loaded. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. Click on that bell button for the notifications. Grab yourself one of these hoodies. Okay, click down below. Get yourself part of the Mineral Gang. Because listen, you're going to see me again 2020. I'm hoping they're going to invite me on TV to talk to Piers Morgan. Because there is no way my man's talking to me that way. I can't lie. Because me and him are going to buzzy and bazzy. You understand? Because the moment he starts interrupting me, I'm just going to start speaking in tongues. And it's going to be mad. Like, no one's going to get heard. So if he doesn't come correct... Anyway, listen, guys, appreciate it. May you stay locked, man.